See, gravitation is one of the phenomena in our universe, and the our universe is formed due to the gravitation only. Due to the dust particles all come together for the attraction, and then it attracted, and then the universe formed. Even the stars formed due to this gravitation. Okay, without gravitation, okay, we cannot imagine the world. Even today, what we are sitting or standing on the floor, the vehicles are running on the road, and we can write comfortably on the pages, right? So that is all due to gravitation. Now just imagine the situation where there is no gravitation. So like space, okay, you have seen in a movies that the when the person will go to the interstellar spaces, okay, he will be floating because there is no gravity at all. Acceleration of due to gravity is almost zero, so they will float, right? So what is basically the gravitation is? Gravitation is the force of attraction between any two bodies in our universe. Basically, it is an attractive force. It is not the repulsive force. Okay. So you can take the example of attraction between two planets or attraction between two dust particles. And what is the meaning of gravity? Gravity. See, gravitation is nothing but a phenomena. When you specify the word as a gravity, it is the attractive force between Earth and any other body lying on or near the Earth's surface. We will tell with reference to the Earth. Okay, the attractive force with respect to the Earth of any object. So that we call as a gravity. So for an example here, a body thrown upward falls back on Earth's surface due to the Earth's gravity. Earth's pull, okay, it will fall back. It will not just go to space, right? Whatever the object you thrown upward, it will fall back. And here is a law, a very, very important one, okay, most important concept it is the universal law of gravitation, or we call it as a Newton's law of gravitation. Okay, so for this, the thing, the Isaac Newton was very familiar. Okay, he was sat under the apple tree and the apple fell on his head. Okay, and he realized that there is a phenomena which brings the apple down towards the earth. Correct now? So that phenomenon is only the gravitation. So for that, he got the Nobel Award, and this is the statement according to him. Any two bodies of mass m1 and m2 separated by distance r are attracted to each other by force which is proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. That means between any two masses, there will be a force of attraction, and that force of attraction is directly proportional to product of their masses. Okay, product means multiplication of the masses. If masses are greater, then obviously force will be greater. If the product gives a lesser number, then force between them is a lesser. And it is inversely proportional to square of the distance. The meaning inversely proportional to indicates that as the distance between the two masses increases, so the force between them decreases. Okay, by combining these two criteria, we can write this F proportional to m1 m2 by r square. And by introducing the gravitational constant to it, see, G is the proportionality constant. Okay, we have taken G m1 m2 by r square, and this G is called as universal gravitational constant. Okay, and its value is 6.67 into 10 power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. Remember the value, most important value it is the G value. The dimensional formula for G is m minus 1 L3 T minus 2. So by solving this unit, okay, you will get this dimensional formula. See, once again, remember the Newton's law of gravitation formula. So force is directly proportional to product of two masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two masses. By using this formula, we can define the G here. G means universal gravitational constant we can define. See, in the above formula, if I consider the M1 and M2 as a unit masses, and the distance between the two masses, if you consider as a 1 meter, if it is a 1 meter, then what the force comes in between the two masses, that defines the G. Got it? So here, it is the force of attraction between two unit masses separated by unit distance from their centers. Got it? So what is a G? G is nothing but the force. G is equal to F, force of attraction between two unit masses when they are separated with unit distance. And this G value is a scalar quantity. It is a constant. The next interesting thing is about features of gravitational forces. What are certain features we can list out here under gravitational forces? Let's see one by one. It is a central force. Okay, central force means it acts between the centers of the masses. Or it's center to center of the masses. It will not act from surface to surface. It acts from center of one mass to center of other mass. It is independent of intervening medium between the two masses. Whatever the medium it comes, okay, like the air or any water, whatever it is, it doesn't depend on it. Its value remains same. The gravitational force remains same. It obeys Newton's third law of motion, like for every action, there will be an equal and opposite reaction. Correct, no? That means the force on one mass is exactly equal and opposite to the force from another mass. And it is a conservative force. As we know that conservative force means here it is a path independent force. It never depends on a path. Path independent. You learned in the work energy power chapter the meaning of conservative and non-conservative forces. And it is independent of the presence of the other bodies. Got it? Suppose here I kept two masses M1 and M2. Suppose if I take the another mass M3 somewhere here, okay, then the force of attraction between these two masses never get affected by this third mass presence. Okay, next, it obeys inverse square law as we seen in the formula. So F is equal to G M1 M2 by R square. So F proportional to 1 by R square. The next is it is independent of nature and size of the bodies until their masses and distance between them remains the same. Okay, it never depends on what is the size of the body or the shape of the bodies. Understand? Either I may take a spherical ball and a rectangular table. There will be a force of attraction between them, okay, with irrespective of their sizes and nature of the object. It may be made of iron and it may be made of a plastic. But it doesn't matter here. So both will have a kind of attraction until their masses and distance between them remains the same. So until there, it is independent. So these are the listed features of gravitational forces. Go through once again. Again, very important discussion now. That is Kepler's laws of planetary motion. So this was the first law like, earlier to Newton's laws. So these are the laws before the Newton's laws. Like Kepler's given a three laws about the planetary motion. Let's see what are the laws. The first law is each planet moves around the sun in an elliptical orbit. Okay, with sun as one of its focus. Okay, this is the first law, and this is the what the assumption we have right now. So that is taken from the Kepler. Each planet moves around the sun in elliptical orbit. Okay, not the circular orbit. It is an elliptical. Elliptical means we cannot call it as a radius. We can call it as a semi-major axis and semi-minor axis. Semi-major axis always comes in a greater in length. Semi-minor axis comes with a shorter in length. So it creates a elliptical orbit with sun as a one of its focus. Focus means it is located at the center. And the second law tells us that the imaginary line joining planet and the sun sweeps equal area in equal intervals of time. Okay, just imagine here is a planet. Okay, here is a sun. It isn't just imaginary line, it is. After some time, this planet will move to some other position. It will come to here. That means it sweeps this much of area here, right? And here also I am taken another interval as a A2. Here also another interval for the same planet. It sweeps the, at regular intervals of time. Means if the time intervals are equal, then these areas are also equal. For the area swept by this line, imaginary line at regular intervals, intervals means time, then the area swept is also equal. In other words, we say that aerial velocity of the planet around the sun is constant. This is the second law. And the third law is, we call it as a T-square law. Okay. So the square of period of revolution, that means your T square, time period. The time period is nothing but time taken to complete one rotation. Okay. The time period of a revolution of a planet is proportional to Q of semi-major axis of the elliptical orbit. As I said, there are in an ellipse, there is a semi-major and semi-minor axis, right? We cannot call it as a radius. This is the semi-major axis. And here it comes semi-minor axis. So the time period of revolution of a planet is directly proportional to AQ. That means as the major axis length increases, the time taken by the planet to complete one revolution also increases. Okay. So in other words, like we can say that if you consider here the sun and here the earth, okay. So for the earth to complete one revolution, it is taking 365 days, right? But for the next planets like Jupiter or Saturn, it is going very far from the sun, right? Than compared to earth. Its semi-major axis length will increase for the Jupiter or for the any other further planets. So for them, it is not the 365 days for a year. For a year, it may have like 1,000 days on them. That's what the time period. As a semi-major axis length increases, time period also increases there. So these are the three popular Kepler's planetary laws. Next is acceleration due to gravity. Small g value. As we know that the small g value is 9.8 meter per second square. What it is actually, it is acceleration due to gravity. It is nothing but it is an acceleration produced in the body which is freely falling. under the effect of gravitational pull of the earth. Okay, so if any body falls freely under the action of gravity of earth, okay, that value we define as a acceleration. What the acceleration it gained due to the earth gravity, that is the acceleration due to gravity, and that value is found to be 9.8 meter per second square. And how we got this 9.8, that proof we have now. Okay, and this is also an acceleration, so dimensional formula of acceleration is same even for the acceleration due to gravity, and it is a vector quantity. It is having a direction towards the center of the earth. Since it is having a direction as well as the magnitude, so it is a vector quantity. So this is all about the small g. Remember the small g. Small g is acceleration due to gravity. Capital G is universal gravitational constant. There is a lot of difference with this chapter, okay, between small g and capital G. Both are not same. And this capital G value varies like 6.675 into 10 power minus 11. But the small g value is 9.8 or around 10 we can take. Now let us derive the relationship between the small g and capital G. So this is the relationship between small g and capital G. Consider an object, okay? So the mass here, and this is the earth mass, it is capital M. By the law of gravitation, the force between these two masses, this is the small m and this is the capital M, and this is the earth radius, that itself is the distance, right? Distance between the two masses. So we can easily derive it by using Newton's law of gravitation. F equal g mm by r square. Use the Newton's second law, like F is equal to ma. Instead of that a, we can take the gravitational pull due to the acceleration due to gravity, small g. Equate the both. When you equated them, the small m terms get cancelled both the side. So you get g is equal to gm by r square. We know the small g, gravitational constant, and m is nothing but mass of the earth. Okay, and r is the radius of the earth. That means if you substitute these values here, capital G and mass of the earth and the radius of the earth, then you will come to know the value of small g, that is 9.8. That value we will come to know that. Let's see how it comes. Calculate the value of g. Look at it. The value of g, small g. Substitute all the values, capital G value and m, mass of the earth. Remember this, 6 into 10 power 24 kg, and radius of the earth 6,400 kilometer. So after solving, you get 9.82 meter per second square. Very important 2 to 3 mark question it is for the board examination. Okay. Please watch, go through it. Next one, let's see. What are the factors affecting the acceleration due to gravity? The small g value is not same, right? Planet to planet, it varies. On Earth, it is 9.8 or around 10, but on the moon, it is different. In a space, it is different. On a Mars, it is different. Jupiter, it is different. Okay, acceleration due to gravity varies. It depends on the height, okay, where the object is located. Is it on the surface or inside the surface? Okay, so that matters. It depends on a height and depends on the shape of the earth. As I said, earth is in elliptical, like geoid shape it is. Okay, and it depends on a depth also. If object lies under the surface of the earth, so that depth also matters. At the depth, how much is the gravitation? how the value varies also matters. Then it depends on a rotation of the earth. We call it as a latitude. So on this factor, the small g value varies. Let's see the first one, effect of height, how it affects. So let us consider an object at the height h from the Earth's surface. Okay. So m is the mass of the Earth and h is the height of the object at the position B, and A is the position on the surface, and R is the radius, and GH is the acceleration due to gravity at that height, and G is the acceleration due to gravity at the surface. As we know that at the surface, we already derived the formula G is equal to Gm by R square. But when the object is at certain height, that means at the position B, this R plus H will be the total distance, right? So it becomes R plus H the whole square. The next step, GH is equal to Gm by R plus H whole square. Divide these two equations, GH divided by G. The similar terms, Gm and Gm get cancelled. Then you get R square divided by R plus H whole square. Here it comes 1 divided by R plus H whole square, 1 divided by R square. Then shift the numerator to denominator, and then you get R square by R plus H whole square. In this denominator, take the R square term common. You get 1 plus H by R whole square. Then numerator R square get cancelled here. And take this entire term to numerator, then the power will become minus 2. Okay. Now we can use the binomial approximation. According to binomial approximation, this power will be multiplied to the second term. So that is a binomial approximation. See, when H is very much lesser than R, H by R will become a very, very lesser. So in that case, we can write this. So this equation 3 becomes 1 minus 2H by R. So GH is equal to G into 1 minus 2H by R. So this is the formula to calculate the acceleration due to gravity above the Earth's surface at any point above the Earth's surface. Okay, what it indicates is that as the height keep on increases, the acceleration due to gravity decreases at that point. Okay, that means as one going towards the space, they are keep escaping from the acceleration due to gravity. The next one is effect of depth on G. How the depth, that means as one goes to the earth core, how the acceleration due to gravity varies. So this is the earth surface it is. And this is what the depth point, okay. So here is the depth D. Let us consider earth to be a sphere of mass m and radius r with center O. P and Q are the 2 points on the Earth's surface. You can see P is on Earth's surface and point Q is at the depth D below the Earth's surface. Okay, the acceleration due to gravity, as we know this formula, G is equal to Gm by R square. Okay, now as we know that density formula, mass by volume, so mass becomes volume into density. So volume is 4 by 3 pi r cube and density is rho. This is for the whole earth mass in terms of volume and density. Okay. So here this m can be replaced now with this equation, right? 4 by 3 pi r cube into rho. So totally we get this. This is for the whole earth till the earth's surface it is. Now when you consider at the depth, Okay, as the one move towards the depth, then what happens? The radius will become r minus d. As you seen in the picture, the radius will become r minus d. Then the mass term will become r minus d the whole cube. See here the mass is r cube is there. So now it becomes r minus d whole cube into rho. Therefore, the acceleration due to gravity at the depth is gm dash by r minus d the whole square. Now m dash, substitute this entire formula there. So again, we got the same form here. Instead of r, we are getting r minus d. Now again, divide them, gd by g. Cancel them, you will get r minus d by r. So taken LCM, we can do this 1 minus d by r. Cross multiply, gd is equal to g into 1 minus d by r. Again, the depth comes at the negative part, right? That means as the acceleration, as the depth increases, okay, what happens? Acceleration due to gravity at the depth decreases. Okay, as the depth increases, the total acceleration due to gravity at that particular depth decreases. Is that clear? Show you once again. Check it. Effect of depth. Look at the picture. We've taken the point Q at the depth D. The total radius is R. Now at the depth, the left radius is R minus D. Left out radius it is. First solve for the surface gravity. Acceleration due to gravity for the surface, gm by r square. Put the mass in terms of the density and substitute in the equation 1. You get this. Okay. And at the depth, instead of r, we get r minus d. That's all. So now divide the two equations. Cancel the similar terms. You get the equation gd is equal to g into 1 minus d by r. So as the depth increases, acceleration due to gravity value decreases.